Hey, girl.
Hey, girl.
I'm Carmen.
And I'm Tyler Janae.
This is the Friendly Black Girls podcast, and we are the Friendly Black Girls.
All right, we have an amazing guest in the building. Her name is Alex Lemon. She is a mom and content creator. Welcome, Alex, to the Friendly Black Girls podcast.
Welcome.
Hi, ladies. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. Today we are going to be getting into a really, I feel like it might be a little controversial of a topic.
Okay.
Moms and friendships. But before we do that, I want to play a game. You know I love games, Tyler.
You do love games.
Never have I ever. So I'm not going to get into the freaknik of it all. But I'm definitely going to ask some questions. Okay? So I think how you play is you start with 5 fingers. So everybody has to have 5 fingers. Okay. So the first one is, never have I ever re-gifted a gift a friend gave me. And if
Not
you did
yet.
it, you got to put a finger down.
But I'm about to.
Not you about to. Oh, my God, Tyler.
I've
Sorry.
totally done that.
You've done that? I think we all have.
I've
so
done it.
everybody has a finger down. Okay. Never have I ever showed up to a friend or associate's party that I wasn't invited to. I don't think I have. Yeah, me neither. Okay. Never have I ever spied on my friend's man or ex-man via social media because she asked me to. I definitely have.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Multiple
finger down.
times.
I'll do it again. Period. Never have I ever dated a friend's ex. Girl code.
Get out
Yeah.
of here.
Okay. Never have I ever had a crush on a friend's sibling, like a brother.
No.
No, I haven't either.
Not old enough.
Never have I ever borrowed an article of clothing from a friend and intentionally didn't give it back, or I said I lost it.
You know what? I have done that. When I was in college. Okay.
Never have I ever lied to get out of plans with a friend. I'll put my fingers down.
I'm sure I have at some point.
So, Tyler, even though you don't have all of your fingers down, you're the loser. So if we had some shots here, you'd be taking a shot, okay? That was fun, ladies.
Yeah,
I
was fun.
enjoyed. Okay, so let's really get into it. What we got going on, Tyler?
So first, before we get into the mama friend goodness, I have a video here talking about traveling with friends. As you know, there's a lot of nonsense that can happen when you travel with friends and you haven't set expectations. So I'm going to play this quick video about a girl who talks about a trip to Cabo with a friend, and then we'll kind of break down our thoughts after.
Oh, I can do it.
It's
I'll do it. I think I have it.
okay. Let's see who can get to it first.
Get to it first.
Oh, here it goes. Okay, you got it.
Came back from Cabo. Every time I travel, I always travel with one person. That's my best friend. Because why I just came back from Cabo and one of the girls did not bring no bread to the trip. So story time on why the fuck I would never do a girls trip again. So mind you, before I even booked the trip, my intuition told me not to go on the trip. Like I was the last person to book. I spoke to my mom. She told me to follow my gut. She told me not to book. But it was one of my homegirls' birthday, and I never ever celebrated her birthday with her. So I was just like, I like traveling. Fuck it, I'll pop out to the trip.
There's a lot of F-bombs in there, so we're going to stop it right here. But I think y'all get the gist. This video went viral, okay, because this young lady was upset that there was another young lady on the girls' trip who had only brought $135 to Mexico. And so people had all kinds of opinions about what they should have done, what should have happened. But first things first, girls' trip drama. Have you ever had any? Either one of y'all. I'm trying to think of a time when I went. I think Miami. Miami is like the infamous girls trip drama
That's
place.
where you go.
And I think that's like the first time I've ever experienced any girls trip drama. I had a friend that like would disappear and just go do whatever and come back, and then we got in an argument because they're like, you can't keep disappearing, it's, you know, and stuff like that. So I think that was the first time I ever had like any real drama on a girl's trip.
And that's not safe.
No, it's not safe, and we trying to look out for you, sis. You know, back in the day when you're in college, friends get an attitude when you try to like look out for them.
I'm grown.
I'm grown. I could do whatever. And so, what are some things that we need to that you think we should consider when we go on a girls' trip?
Budget.
Okay,
Budget. Talk about what are we doing? How much are we spending here? How much do I need to bring? Because this poor girl only brought $135.
And it sounds like people were clowning her for it. It didn't sound like her friends really stepped up to the plate at all. What are some things you consider when you go on girls' trips?
Budget is number one, like you mentioned, because, I mean, maybe you have a friend that, maybe she can't afford this. Now, I would not out my friend like that. We would maybe pitch in to help our friend,
Okay.
if she really wanted to go but couldn't afford the bulk of the trip,
Yes.
right? Or, I mean, some other things I consider are personality types, because when you're going on big trips, all your friends might not mesh well together.
Right.
So you have to know, like, what personality types go with what, and then determine your guest list from there.
Okay, I like that. So personality type, budget. I think another important one is like what activities you plan to do, because I'm definitely a get out and see stuff kind of girl. I want to do all the activities, but some people just are okay with just chilling by the beach. So I think that can kind of cause a little bit of tension on the trip if you don't really outline that ahead of time.
I also want to know who all gonna be there.
Yeah.
Is somebody bringing a man? Am I gonna have to, be careful about what I'm wearing and stuff? Like that's very important.
Speaking of bringing your man, I think this young lady who made this video actually brought her man to the trip.
Oh.
To the girls' trip.
To the girls' trip. And I just feel like that's such a violation. I feel like, and y'all tell us in the comments, everybody, hey girlfriends, tell us, is it a violation if your girl brings her man to the girl trip? I feel like it is.
Violation.
You should just never do that, right? So there's a couple of comments that we found on Twitter regarding this video. Blair says, last year I went on a girls trip and my friend forgot her wallet. Without hesitation, I gave my debit card to use while I used my credit card on the trip. This whole debate about that girl only bringing $135 on a trip is weird. Y'all don't really like your friends. Do y'all agree with that?
I agree with that. Because, I mean, if your friend lost her debit card, that's a legitimate reason to say, you know what? Here, just take my card. I use my credit card. I know you'll pay me back. If you know your friend may not be as responsible with money, then maybe you say, here, I'm going to hand you this cash. Maybe not a debit card, but I mean,
yeah, what are your thoughts? Because you...
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to give you my debit card. But, I mean, I had a situation when I went to Mexico with my cousin, and I had got my card stolen or lost maybe like 48 hours before the trip. And so, you go to the bank and go get like a temporary debit card. I had no idea they were not going to accept that when I got to Mexico. So I was literally out there with a temporary card with nothing to use. And because she knows me, she knows I'm about my word and I'm going to pay her back, she was footing everything, and I was immediately zelling her, like right then and there, because I want her to know, like, you don't have to come hound me down for the money.
The where it gets sticky for me is if I have to keep hounding you for my money. I do not like asking people to zell me or cash at me more than once. Like, I feel like if that's the kind of friend you are, that you're responsible and you're considerate, I'm definitely gonna send you the money, loan you the money. But if this is a pattern, I feel like then there's a larger conversation that needs to be had. The Life Architect says, this $135 girl trip debate is wild. To defend a sloppy, unprepared, fiscally irresponsible, messy friend is extremely telling. The boundary bar is dangerously low. I said no.
Dang.
Now she was truthful.
I mean, she boundaries.
I don't know why she called the girl sloppy, but okay. And messy. And then the last one, Shea Brulee, she says, bringing your man on a girl's trip and you not even the birthday girl is more egregious to me than only having $135. So there we go. Those are the opinions of the internet. And as we know, the internet knows everything. So, anywho, Tyler, what are your thoughts? Are you on the same page with these ladies?
Yeah, I think I'm on the same page, because if this, like you said, if this is a pattern, then no. Like, if I know that you don't have a lot of money right now, like, I'm going to tell you about the trip, because I don't want you to think that I'm just, going on trips and not telling you. But I know your situation. I know you're trying to save money for a house, or you're about to have a baby or something. But specifically knowing I'm going on a trip and I'm only bringing $135, because also in this video though, it was the friend's friend Yeah. So it's
Friend of
not
a
your
friend.
friend. It's
Oh.
somebody. It's your friend's friend.
Yeah.
Who was like, "Hey, girl, can you foot me for this bill?" And you're like, "Girl, I don't even."
Wait a minute.
Well, that changes things all the way. That really changes things.
She's like, "Now wait
because
a minute."
now it just, I don't really know you that well. You're my friend's friend. Cool. But you come on a trip knowingly not having the funds, you are kind of putting a damper on everyone else's time because, hey, I'm on a trip. I don't want to hear about that.
Yeah.
And, you know,
That part.
and two, it's like, you know, we want everyone to be able to enjoy without us having to have a talk first or a consideration first. It's a trip. We want to just drink and go.
Yeah. Some people will say that makes us bad friends. Let's see what you guys think in the comments below. Are we bad friends? We don't know.
That ain't my
but
friend.
At the end of the day, though, I do think it's all about knowing your friends, having those conversations beforehand, and really just kind of also having some boundaries in place.
Boundaries.
So speaking of the girl trip, we have one more video.
Middle-aged woman, I get on social media sometimes to kind of give like my viewpoints and things I wish I had known 10, 15 years ago as a woman. But sometimes I have questions of my own. One of them is, what is the point of a girl's trip? I honestly do not understand it. Now, I know I'm a loner. I'm an introvert. I get that. I don't even have any friends. But if I did, I still don't think I want to go on a trip when I like to be taken care of. I like stuff to be paid for me. I got heels on, hold my hand, make sure I don't fall, open the door for me, pay for it for me, find me a chair while you go find us a table.
I think she kind of answered our question by saying she don't have no friends.
Yeah, I was going to say, she sounds like someone who has never really had girls' trips before.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of null and void there. But I have heard people say, like, they don't go on girls' trips. You know, they don't enjoy them. I personally feel like they're necessary. They're a necessary part of just life. You know what I mean? Hanging out with your girls, exploring the world. I think, what do you think?
100%. Girls' trips are necessary. There's so much bonding and sisterhood that happens. But I mean, for this woman in particular, like, you can do both. Like, nobody said you have to choose a girls' trip over your vacation.
Yeah.
You can do both. They're completely different purposes.
Find somebody who can do both. All
And
right.
I think it's necessary for you to see your friends in all kinds of elements. Like, I want to see you carefree, having a good time, you know, enjoying the beach.
Yes.
So I think that's important as well.
I agree. So speaking of the internet, there is something called the Internet Friends Phenomenon, okay? So it's an article from The Guardian. And people are suffering from loneliness at a high rate. I think the Surgeon General has proclaimed this an epidemic around the nation, right? Where people are just super lonely. And one of the ways that people feel like they are kind of, I guess, mitigating that is making friends on the internet. So they're forming these communities online. And so we want to talk quickly just about what those relationships look like. Is it different than an in-person relationship? So this article says there's a certain ease in making online connections that can't be replicated offline. And it's this ease that appeals to the time-poor, emotionally guarded side of people. So what do you all think about that? Just making friends online and making that be your only community that you have, because you might not have the time to make friends, or you might be an introvert. What do you think about this phenomenon? Because I see this being bigger and bigger as time goes on, as the internet grows, as things change.
The metaverse
continues to grow. Do you guys think this is detrimental or this is a benefit for people?
I think it's a benefit. I think it's convenient for some people. A lot of people are busy. Maybe you do have kids. Maybe you don't have a lot of time.
Right.
And the time that you do, you're on your phone, you're making connections, you're intentional about finding people who are into what you like as well.
Yes.
So you're bonding over certain things. I don't think it's anything wrong with that. Hopefully it won't take over in-person relationships completely. But I think it's necessary because some people really need that.
Yeah. So author and broadcaster Emma Gannon, she wrote a book that's called Disconnected: How to Stay Human in an Online World. And she said a girl reached out to me online as a result of one of my YouTube videos, and we ended up having really long conversations, typing paragraphs back and forth. Having said that, I struggle to think of a name for what I would call her, because I wouldn't describe her as my friend. despite having had a meaningful interaction.
Now, I'm with her on that.
Okay.
Because I have a very different definition of friend than other people do. Just because we comment on each other's stuff and I be like, girl, you look good, does not mean that you're a friend. I've met a few people online that I've actually met in person, and we've created good relationships. But I like what Wendy Williams says. And she used to say, that's a friend in my head.
Yeah.
It's a friend in my head. It's a friend in my head. Like celebrities, friend in my head, because we have similarities. But I don't see this taking the place of a
real
in-person friend.
Because when I'm online, sometimes I start to feel myself forming bonds with people that I've been friends with for years online that I've never even met in person. I've been Facebook friends with people for like decades at this point,
now,
right?
Facebook, yes.
Yeah, and it's like, wow, I know this person. And it gets to a point where you have these parasocial connections with people, and you really do start to feel like you know them. But I do think that can get dangerous.
You got to draw the line.
Yeah, and I know that's why we started the Black Girl Social Club, is because in-person connections are just, to me, they're a priority. You gotta talk to people in person. But let us know what you guys think. Are online connections just as valuable as in person? And have you met any friends or made friends online that you now have a long-lasting relationship? Let us know. We want to know. So let's get into the motherhood stuff, but we recently had an episode where a listener wrote in, and they had concerns about their friend and her mothering. Okay, so we've had this conversation before where we talked to Coriel, and she told us there's nothing you can say to a mother that she's not going to take offense to when it comes to her child, okay?
Yeah.
So to sum it all up, the listener wrote in and she said that her friend gave her underage daughter a sip of a margarita. Oh. Okay, at an event. Okay, and so that was the summary of it. And so somebody commented on our video, Just Call Me Sean. She said, and we talked about confronting the mom and having the conversation. She said, I've done this. You talk to her with love and respect. It can start with a question. Why did you allow it? Do you think that's okay? Do you think that's really okay? Have you considered how this would affect the child? Sometimes they haven't really thought about their actions with their child. The decision was made for acceptance. Lastly, after you have the conversation, you must accept that they may not listen or accept your advice. You can set the condition, meaning, hey, listen, please don't do this in my presence, or only do things where the child is excluded if you want the friendship. I personally would not remain friends with a bad parent, though. And that word bad parent we'll get into in a minute. But what are your thoughts on that comment?
I mean, I definitely would tell my friend. I would want my friend to tell me. Again, it's all about delivery. Okay. People can see from a different perspective than what you and your child are just you two together. So I think while, yes, you're going to get a lot of opinions about how to mom, a lot. Yeah. But, sometimes you do have to listen to the things that people say to you because they may be saying something that you're really not paying attention to. Certainly myself, it has happened. And I'm like, okay, maybe I am doing that. Let me check myself.
Okay. So when this happened, how did you feel? Like, how did those conversations go?
So it was my husband, so it wasn't really a friend. Okay. But still, at the time, he's like, hey, sometimes when our son does XYZ, you jump a little too soon. Just let him,
Got you.
And so I'm like, okay, and I started to notice, man, I do this. I'm a new mom, and when my child says, ooh, I'm like, what's going on? And so I'm like, you know what? I am doing that. So let me try to check myself in these situations, or at least acknowledge, okay, I could be doing this. So I think it's really just about the delivery. And how you position it to your friend. But if you see something that's alarming, and especially if it's going to harm a child, you have to say something. It's really your duty to do something.
I think we all agreed on that.
Yeah,
on the last
100%.
So what are your thoughts on that comment? You're in alignment, Tyler?
Yeah, I'm in alignment. Okay. But I mean, I think just understanding also that if the mom doesn't take the advice and it's detrimental to the child, like, what do you do then?
Yeah, this girl said she's not gonna be her friend no more. She said,
Yeah, because I don't think I could sit there and see that happening, especially if it's like often and she's kid 13, 14, 15 years old and you're just like giving them alcohol all the time. You know, like, mind your business. Like, why are you trying to figure out what we got going on? It's like, no. Yeah. And I was an educator. I was a teacher. So I was a mandated reporter. So if that was happening, I would have to, say something.
I want to pull up the survey results because we did have some survey results. Hopefully I can pull them up. Maybe not. But while we're doing that, I do want to talk about the dynamic shift in your friendships once you become a mother. Can you talk a little bit about that? And I'm going to look for the survey results. But tell us a little bit more about how things changed once you became a mother.
Yeah. It's a change that you don't even expect, right? Because it's new. Especially, you're a new mom. So you don't really know how it's going to be until you get into something. So I know for my friendships, I'm a call you every day. Me and my best friends, we can talk for hours sometimes, and we talk very often. When my son was born, it was night and day.
Okay.
Exhaustion, you're tired. You can't really talk if a child's in the background. And even to this day, it's different than it used to be. It's an adjustment for myself, and I have one best friend that I talk to all the time. I have several, but the one that I talk to daily, I mean, it's a change. I'm sure she noticed the change, the drift in my attention. Yeah. And it's just something that she has given me grace about, which I'm so thankful for.
Does she have children herself?
She does not.
Okay.
Yeah.
She does not. And so I come from a dynamic where none of my friends really have kids. I have one who has a kid. My closest friends aren't married. And so my husband, all his friends are married. And all his friends have kids. So it was a very big change for me because I just felt disconnected. And I'm sure my friends felt disconnected from me as well.
Yeah, I mean, I got to tell you, first let me give you guys these results. So when we asked what would somebody do in that scenario if they had a friend that was doing something that they didn't necessarily approve of, 27% of you all said, I mind my business, honey. 43% of y'all said, I say what's on my mind. And 30% of you all said, it just depends. So the biggest percentage is, I say what's on my mind. All right. So I know for me personally, I've had some friends that, I have a lot of new mom friends. And that those phone conversations get so difficult on occasion because you might call your friend, you have something you want to get off your chest, or you have something really exciting that you want to say, and they're screaming in the background and, they're cutting you off, telling you to hold on. And you're like, can she hear me?
Yeah.
I don't know if she can hear me. Do I need to repeat? Or you get that instance where it's just, you don't get an answer at all. Maybe they're busy or they're tied up. So just talking about that, have any of your friends ever expressed that to you at all? And if so, what was that conversation like?
Yeah, so my best friend Amber, she'll straight up just say, girl, I'll call you back. But I understand, right? Because even on the phone with her, I'm constantly apologizing. Ooh, girl, I'm so sorry. Yeah. Ooh, girl, that's Carson. Hold on. You can't ignore your child.
Right.
So I have to stop and say something and pay him attention. And she understands, but sometimes it's just like, girl, I'll call you back.
Yeah.
I have another friend, Kiera, and before I had kids, I would call her. She has a son. He would be in the background, doing that same thing. So I remember being on the flip side, and once I had my son, I straight up called her one day and was like, girl, I had no idea what you were going through when you had your son, and I understand now. Sorry if I wasn't a good friend.
Oh,
because
I love it.
It's that serious sometimes. You want to have a simple phone conversation, and it just can't be done.
Yeah. So have you ever felt any, guilt? Have you ever felt guilt in your friendship? Maybe I'm not being the friend that they need me to be at this time. And have you ever had any resentment in your friendships, just oh, they don't understand what's going on?
I wouldn't say I had resentment just because they don't know what's going on.
Right.
But I have felt really guilty about, my best friend Amber. She's been there for me, when I was getting ready to get married and the entire time I was having my baby. And so now she's in a space where she's in a relationship that's headed in that direction. And I feel guilty because I can't be there for her on the same level as she was there for me.
Yeah.
But I do try to, you know, have girls' days and still, you know, go to her house and visit with her. And just to let her know, like, I'm here for you. Maybe not in the capacity I wish I could be, but I do feel guilt about that sometimes.
It sounds like you have really healthy relationships with your friends.
It does.
Because I know a lot of moms who completely isolate themselves and they don't want to hang out, or maybe they want to, but they just feel like they can't hang out. They're not answering the phone. They're stuck in the house all day. You know, postpartum, I know is a real thing.
Yeah.
But the fact that you all have been able to have the conversations and communicate, we consistently talk
it
about.
It just always keeps going
every
back
time.
to communication, because I've had that experience too, where I had a friend that just isolated. Like, it was like, oh, she can't go anywhere. She can't do anything. She can never talk on the phone. And I found out later that she was experiencing postpartum, but I had no idea, and I felt really bad. But I think just communicating that to your friends, like, I'm having a really hard time right now, you know, and also telling people what you need. I know I have one friend who is a super new mom, and sometimes you don't know, as the friend who's never had a kid, what a mom needs. And if it's not communicated, you kind of are in, like, at a standstill, because you don't want to overreach. You don't want to, like, just pop up at the house, because some people have, you know, restrictions on who they want to be in the house when the baby's born. All those different dynamics that you have to kind of navigate. So I think the best thing to do is, like you said, have that conversation, because I think a lot of friends want to help new moms. They just don't necessarily know how. So with that being said, how can people help new moms? If you're a friend of a new mom, what are some ways that we can help?
Now, my friend did something for me that's a little, I don't know if it's out of the norm, but for me, I was very shocked and surprised.
Okay.
So this is my friend who already has a son.
Okay.
Now, when I had my child, she waited about a month and a half, and she came down and stayed with us for a weekend and kept our son while me and my husband went out on dates. And I was like, wow, you would do that? That's amazing.
I love it.
At
Shout
first,
her out. What's her name?
her name is Kiara, and she's amazing. And at first, I was a little hesitant because, like you mentioned, I did go through a period where I was like, I'm isolated. I'm not going anywhere. I am not talking to anybody. I want to sleep. So I went through that as well.
So is it exhaustion? What is that?
It's exhaustion.
Okay.
It's the most extreme form of exhaustion that you've ever felt. Because, I mean, in my opinion, you know, people say, sleep when the baby's sleeping. There's really no such thing as that, because they don't sleep that long. And you need sleep. And so your sleep pattern is just disrupted, and that's going to throw off everything else in your day. It's going to throw off your eating. It's going to throw off just your natural everything that
your
you
cycle
do.
of events and things. Okay.
And so the best thing you can do for a new mom is, hey, can I send you some Uber Eats? Have you guys eaten? You know, do you need any groceries dropped off? I know a lot of my friends do food trains. You can donate like $20, and that goes towards like different meals that the family can use every single day.
Food train.
Food is probably the nicest thing, just because when you have a new baby, you can't just go pick up Chick-fil-A so quick.
You know, you
can't take your baby everywhere when they're just born, and you definitely don't want to cook. So I just feel like offering up things that you know are necessities. Hey, can I order a grocery run for you? Hey, can I send you some Uber Eats? Can I pick up any packages or anything that you have outstanding, any errands I can run? That's really helpful, because you're just allowing them to say, okay, I don't have to worry about all these other things that I have to do. I can truly just relax knowing that I have people in my corner.
This is some really good stuff. I literally have never thought about this, because all of my friends, their babies and, you know, their mommyhood is happening in a different state. And so I've never really had that. But I do have some friends who said that they are planning to, you know, start their family. So this is some really good information. Thank you.
Yeah. We had posted about this on Facebook, and somebody commented. She said, woo, I could write a sermon on this. The way people disappear when you have a baby. Not a single visit in 2 years. So I'm wondering, have you had that experience where people are like disappearing from your life?
I won't say people disappear. I will say I come from like large groups of friends.
Okay.
So I have a lot of friends.
Okay.
Now, the friends that you always talk to the most are still probably going to remain.
Right.
But any like, associates, let's text and kick it and hang out, all that pretty much
We talked about that
away.
Hierarchy.
Yeah.
So the ones at the bottom.
Yeah. All that goes away because you can't go out and do things like you used to. So if they didn't normally come to your house and talk to you daily, they're not going to do that now that you've had a baby.
Especially now, right? So what can we look forward to as the children get... How old is your...
He's 2.
Okay, and that's your only child?
I have a stepson who's 8.
Okay, all right. And so within your family dynamic, how do you all navigate your social life? Like do you guys make plans? Do you have to make sure everything is on the calendar? How does that work?
We have awesome grandparents, so praise the Lord for that.
Yes, praise God.
My mom moved up here right before I had my son. My husband's parents live up here, and they always want to take the kids.
Well, hey, there you go.
So that is very, very helpful.
Yes.
I do know moms who don't have grandparents here, and it's a little harder for them. I have one friend who she's like, we never get out, ever. And that would be hard for me.
Yeah.
Because just being in the house with your kid all the time.
I can't imagine. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, it's not as free as when it's just you and your person. So definitely having a village. My friends have certainly said, I'll babysit for you guys. Okay. Like, just let me know. That's helpful as well. But, a lot of times you don't want to ask your friends because... Even though they probably would babysit for you, no problem.
They definitely would.
I feel like grandparents are really just like...
That's what grandparents are for.
Yeah, that's what grandparents are for.
I heard this new generation of grandparents is like...
Okay. It's different.
We got our own life.
Work.
We going on a cruise.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to ask my mom in advance, like, are you free on this day?
Yeah, they got stuff to do. So a study by the British Red Cross found that more than 8 in 10 mothers, that's 83%, under the age of 30, had feelings of loneliness some of the time, while 43% said they felt lonely all the time. Another survey found that 90% of new mothers felt lonely since giving birth, with over half feeling like they had no friends. Loneliness?
Loneliness, for sure.
Okay.
And I have friends, and I still definitely felt lonely. I think it's a thing where no one else can really relate to you at that time. Not even your husband, because it's different. I remember feeling like I am the only one literally going through this right now.
The only one that ever gave.
I mean, not to that extent,
No,
but
I
it's
know.
like in the moment.
Yeah.
I don't know any other, I don't have a lot of mom friends.
Yeah.
So that's a challenge. And so it's just, I'm here
So you
with
didn't
my
have
baby.
like a community to talk,
No.
like bounce stuff off of.
No. I mean, I had a few people. I had a cousin. I had my friend, her son's 11 now. So she would have to think way back to newborn stage.
Yeah.
But it's very lonely because even when you're on maternity leave, or I was on maternity leave at the time, you are home with a baby all day.
Okay.
And then it's like, I'm not talking to anybody else. I'm just here with a child and I'm not doing anything else all day but this.
So I definitely want to get into a little bit more of how that affects or impacts friendships.
Yeah.
Because I know for me as someone who doesn't have a friend, so let me go back. According to a Forbes article, mothers are prioritizing sleep over time with friends.
Yeah.
That's their priority at the moment.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And so as someone, like I said, who doesn't have kids, and I have plenty of friends with kids, I know I've often felt like, I know this sounds harsh, but this is a real podcast. I sometimes feel like, or felt like, the moms were using their children as an excuse as to why they couldn't do certain things. And it felt like that became even though it should, obviously your children are the number one focus in your life, but it felt like it was becoming like, I'm going to say, I need to be with my kid tonight so I don't have to go out, or I don't have to do these things. And I feel like that does impact the dynamic of the relationship. It makes it feel like, okay, are we ever going to get back on track? Are we ever going to be the friends that we used to be? And I don't know. I mean, what are your thoughts? Have you ever experienced that where you felt like kind of you were drifting apart from a friend who gave birth?
Yeah, and I think I had to give her some grace. She ended up coming back around, but to be honest, since you said we being honest on here.
Yes, be honest.
I feel like if I was a new mother and I didn't feel like doing something, even though I did have a babysitter, I might just say, little Charlie, I gotta
you would do that too?
Probably. We just talked about never have I ever.
I've definitely done it. I've definitely done it. I mean, there have been times where you have mom guilt. Like, I can be out with my friends, and I'll look at the clock, and if it starts getting around 10, I'm like, I know my husband and my child are at home. Like, I feel like I need to be there with them.
Okay.
So I'm like, I'm gonna head in, and I know my friends get tired of me. Like, girl, it's early, but I mean, it's the guilt.
And I think we just have to accept. I think I'm not a therapist. I wish we had a therapist on right now, but I feel like it just boils down to accepting what things are in the moment.
Yeah.
Like, we know that these things are happening. We know that moms have mom guilt. We know that moms are exhausted. We also know that our friends want to spend time with us. So I think just meeting somewhere in the middle, I think will kind of help everybody out. But it's hard. It's hard to navigate. I mean, on one side, you have the moms saying they feel like they're under-supported and left out and lonely, and on the other side you have the friends that are saying, well, you left us hanging, ever since you became a mom. Right.
And I feel guilty now because I even tell my friends, like, I've told my best friend Amber, I'm like, I want some mom friends. Like, obviously nobody can ever replace you, but I want mom friends. It's necessary because you want somebody who's doing the same things as you, so you can bounce things off of them.
Absolutely. I had a friend, like I said, who just gave birth. I mean, not just, the baby's probably like 5 months now. But when she first gave birth, she was like, I'm going to hang out with my mom friends. And I was like, yes. I was happy for her. I was like, yes, you probably do need to go hang out with your mom friends because I don't have any advice for you. So there was a tweet that got the people going from Passport Cuddy. She's always been a controversial figure on the internet. But her post said, do you sincerely think your friend has to automatically be concerned with your child? Does that make the friend not a good friend or person because they are not connected to your child? Can a person just want to be friends with you individually and not be criticized for it? Tyler, what is your immediate thought?
I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of the parent, and I definitely think I would feel some kind of way if my friend was just all the time like, don't bring, little Charlie here, and talking about how little Charlie's always getting in the way of our friendship. Don't want to be auntie, don't want to be godmom, just want to be cool with me because that's still an extension of me, I would feel like.
Yeah, some responses. Jerlisa Nicole says no. However, they should also not expect their opinion to be valued when it comes to parenting and my child. I think this person will be more of an acquaintance because it's hard to be my friend and not have any interest in my offspring. I would feel like I'm betraying myself. Kelly, Class Act Kells, also says, how would someone be considered a friend of mine and not be concerned about something that means the world to me? What are your thoughts on that?
Some people don't like kids, and if you don't, that's fine. I will not bring you around mine.
She said, you gotta worry about it.
And I might still go to lunch with you. I just know that you won't be around my child. Now, like you said, it might be more of an associate, but it depends, like, what does that person really mean? Are they saying, I don't ever want to have anything to do with your child, or are they just saying, like, hey, when we go out to eat, I prefer you to leave your child at home because sometimes that can get a little wild. Taking your young child out to eat with you, and I've certainly done that with my friends. And if they said like, hey, I want to go out, but can this just be like no kids? I wouldn't be offended by that.
I think that's because that's how I'll be feeling. Like, can we just have some drinks, girl? Please?
Yeah, some girl time.
Without the baby pulling on my hair and stuff.
And that's fair. If your friends say that to you, like, you should respect that as well. Because sometimes you just don't want to be bothered by it.
It's just a two-way street. But you said, are you automatically, I think the larger question we're getting at too, are you like automatically like auntie? Like, are you the go-to person?
If that's my best friend, like, that's the thing. My best friend, yes. I'm auntie, I'm godmom, I'm whatever you want to call me. But if you on the lower levels of the hierarchy, we gotta talk about the friendship
we
hierarchy.
We gotta put up a chart. What is the hierarchy?
Then it's like I don't really have any expectations of you. But if you're my best friend, then that's something you should want. You know, in my opinion.
Yeah, because your best friend's gonna be there with you through your pregnancy. So if you're with me through this,
it's weird for you to be like, oh, okay, girl, it's fine.
Yeah, that's like, okay, you putting some stipulations on our friendship.
All right, guys. Well, y'all tell us what y'all think in the comments, okay? Please let us know if your friend has a baby. Are you automatically auntie? Should you want to be connected with the child? And, you know, should you be showing more grace in these situations? So I think we can kind of wrap this conversation up. But let's see, Alex, do you have any last words? Anything that you think that people should know, whether they're a friend of a new mom or whether they're a new mom who has friends that they're trying to continue to grow with?
Yeah, I would just say if you are a friend of a new mom, just please give them grace as they go through a literal life-changing experience. And if you are a new mom, just be sure to still check in with your friends, communicate to them what you're going through, and just let them know, hey, girl, I might have to see you at the end of this, but I'll come back around soon. So just communicate, and I think everything will turn out.
I like it. I like the way you said that. I like the way you said that. Tyler, any last words?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head with that one.
All right. So without further ado, we're gonna wrap this up. Where can everybody find you? Because you have a blog.
Yes, I have a blog.
Sorry, I'm so old. Go ahead.
It's a lot of different things, girl. Yes. So on YouTube, I'm Alexandria Lemon. On Instagram, I am Life with a Lemon, and you can also find me at Greedy Girls Atlanta.
There you go. You heard it here first. And follow us at the Black Girl Social Club. Make sure that you check out all of our episodes. If you haven't, catch up. Until next time, remember that being a good friend is a blessing, and having a good friend is a bigger blessing. Bye.